Alright, today is 11.4 subtracting equations or solving subtraction equations. Go ahead and hit pause and copy this information down. So go ahead and do that. Alright, it says addition property of equality is if you add the same number to each side of an equation, the two sides will remain equal. Here's an example. If I were to take an example of 7 equaling 7, and you add 7 to both sides, the equation will still equal the same number, 9 equaling 9. Now for this example, when we have an actual equation with a variable, you would add 2, do the inverse operation, since it's subtracting 2, or subtracting or adding a negative 2, however you want to look at that. You would add 2 to both sides, and you can see that you end up getting 5 equaling the value of x. And if you take that value of 5 and plug it into the value of x, 5 minus 2 does equal 3. So let's go ahead and do a few problems. Remember that on each problem today you need to solve each equation algebraically, not mentally, and that you're going to check your solution as well for that value of x. So we're going to simply do the inverse. Again, we're starting with the side with the variable, and since it says I'm going to subtract 7, I'm going to add 7, and you have to do that to both sides to keep that equation balanced. So now we get x by itself, because subtracting 7 and adding 7 equals 0, and now we have 11 plus 7, which is 18. Now you can plug your value of the variable, 18, into the actual equation, and 18 minus 7 does equal 11. So your solution is checked. I'm going to let you go ahead and hit pause and go ahead and solve this problem algebraically. Alright, so now again you're going to start on the side with the variable. If you're subtracting 6, you're going to add 6 to both sides, and we get y by itself, and now it is a negative 2 plus 6. Therefore, unlike signs, you're going to subtract those numbers. 6 is larger, so it's positive. So we're going to get a positive 4. And if we plug that in to our equation, 4 minus 6, it does equal a negative 2. And again, in this situation, you would change it to addition, opposite of the second number, to get that answer to check the solution. And it does equal negative 2 with unlike signs. Okay? So let's look at the next one. Go ahead and hit pause and solve this. So now you're going to start with the variable on the right side of the equation. So you're going to add 5 to that side and add 5 to the other, and we get a by itself, and now we get 9 plus 5, which is 14. So now let's plug it into our equation. 9 equals 14, because that's the value of a, minus 5, and yes, 9 does equal 14 minus 5. So your solution has checked. Let's go ahead and look at the next problem. Go ahead and hit pause, and you can do this. Alright, once again, start on the side with a variable. So since it says to subtract 4, we're going to add 4 to both sides. B is by itself. And now we have a negative 2 plus 4. So since we have negative 2 plus 4, we have different signs. We're going to subtract them. 4 is larger, therefore it is a positive 2. If we plug it into our equation, we get 2 minus 4. Does that equal a negative 2? Well, change our sign to addition, opposite of the second number, and we have unlike signs, therefore you subtract. 4 is bigger, therefore it is negative. So yes, it does check. Let's try another. Go ahead and solve this. Go ahead and hit pause. Okay, now what we're going to do is start again on the right side now, because that's where the variable has moved. We are getting rid of this number, which is a negative, or subtracting 5, so it's adding 5 to both sides. We get now t by itself, and this would be negative 5 plus 5. Unlike signs, different signs means you subtract and you get 0. Let's check that and see if it works. Negative 5 equals 0 minus 5, which in this case we would need to change the second number, addition, opposite of the second number, which is a negative 5, and therefore, yes, negative 5 does equal 0 minus 5. Both negatives. Okay, that one's a little more difficult. Mainly because when we see 0 minus 5, we think it's always going to be 5. That would be if it were 5 minus 0. So be careful with that. Okay? And our last problem, we have, go ahead and hit pause and you can solve this. So you're going to start on the side with the variable once again. Opposite of this 2, so subtracting 2, you're going to add 2 to both sides. And we get c by itself. And we have, unlike signs, different signs, we're going to have to subtract. And we get 4. 6 is larger and it is negative, therefore my answer is negative. So now we're going to plug that into our equation, and we get negative 4 minus 2 equals a negative 6. So therefore we're going to change it to addition, opposite of the second number, which makes it a negative 2. Same signs, you're going to add. Sign stays the same, so it is now negative. And it is a check. What I want you to do is, if you struggled with these a little bit, take some notes of it. And again, this is a little more abstract, algebra is, so it's a little more difficult for some. I know in the last few days we've been doing pretty well with it, so I don't think this is going to throw too much of a curveball to most of you. But if it is giving you difficulty, you certainly want to get in and get some extra help during charger time if you need it. Okay? Have a great evening.